As you can see, the casing itself and the housing is much smaller than the UB9000, and rightly so. I mean, there is a definite price premium between the two products. So one is going to look closer to the Oppo 203 in my opinion. However, I think that for a discount player, they have done a fantastic job at the way that this unit looks, and it's not going to look terrible if you have it placed around some high-end equipment. The design, although it's very minimalistic, I think it looks great overall. If there was not any other players on the market, I think for this price point, you really can't complain too much about the way this looks. And also the fact that it actually has the dual HDMI outputs, one for the audio as well, was something else that I thought was interesting when I judged the discount on this. I think it retails originally for around 250 US, but I was able to pick up two of these for 150 each over the holiday, and I'll plug it in and let you see the operation, but that's what it looks like opened up. It's very similar looking to, I think it's the UB150 maybe, if you did not have this piece of plastic covering it up and everything. But overall, it's a very, very well-rounded player when it comes to the aesthetics of it. I was really, really happy with it, and it is definitely light as opposed to, you know, my normal player, which is the UB9000, and you definitely saw the difference between the two as far as the size and also the boxes. When we compared the two, you could fit the box of the UB420 in the box of the UB9000 easily. But it is a very nice looking unit, and I'll show you what the Sony looks like. I have a Region B Sony Blu-ray player that I use that I paid approximately the same for in regards to this, and it just doesn't feel as nice, and it doesn't look as nice as well. Here's a comparison between the Sony just regular upscaling 4K Blu-ray player that I have, and I think that this is where, and I'll get a better shot in the lighting with a little bit better lighting to where you can really see the difference. But I mean, and these are both in the same price points, and in my opinion, I mean, the Panasonic just has really done a fantastic job of making this look like a high quality product, and that's refreshing in my opinion. Another key difference that we're going to see is in the remotes. Now, my personal preference naturally is going to be the remote that comes with the UB9000, because you have this little switch right here, the light that comes on if you're watching in a dark environment, and all your buttons light up. And then not only that, but this reminds me a little bit more of the remote that I had when I had the Oppo 203 player. That's one thing that I do miss between the different players that I've had throughout the years. The Oppo actually had the best remote in my opinion, but this, it feels better in your hand. It looks better. There's more of everything feels better overall. But the UB420 comes with this remote, and just for comparison, this is the remote that came with the Sony, which is cheap. As far as, you know, I mean, it feels like something that I would have paid 5 cents for. I mean, there's no weight to it at all. The buttons do not light up or anything, and I was expecting a remote like this. So although this, and as you can tell, there's a definite difference in the size of the remote. But so I was expecting something a little more closer to along those lines. But the weight feels natural. It does feel natural in your hands, a little bit better than the Apple TV remotes and things like that. And overall, I was really pleasantly surprised with that, and don't have a problem with this remote. But I do prefer, you know, the remote that comes with their premium player. So even when we take a look at the packaging, you know, I'm kind of surprised by the fact that, in my opinion, when you look at, just next time you are in your local retailer, take a look at the different 4K Blu-ray players that are on the market and look at the packaging. And I think that there's definitely a premium to the way that Panasonic has boxed both of these players up. Again, when you look at the UB9000, I mean, you're gonna spend $1,000 for this player, and I didn't spend a lot of time showing what this player looks like on video clips. There are countless pictures online, so you can take a good look at that. And then, you know, there's not as many yet of this, but this is going to grow. But again, it looks nice overall. So the main reason why I wanted to show the box is to give you a scale of the size of the player and even the packaging. So again, that's a pretty significant difference with the way that the packaging looks itself overall, in the sense of you can get an idea of the size of the player is what I mean by that. But the packaging also has something I wanted to show before we kind of start dissecting some of the differences in this, and we'll focus on that, is when you look at the packaging on the UB9000, you see that it says that it's 4K Pro HDR. It's a premium HD, Ultra HD premium product. It has HDR 10 plus, Dolby Vision, high clarity sound, premium, and then high res audio. And I'm not going to focus on either of these because the picture quality is really what I wanted to focus on in regards to the key differences between these two players, if there is any. But on the packaging, and you'll see the exact same thing on this packaging, except Dolby Vision. And so you get, but the HCX processor, which is their own Hollywood cinema experience chip that optimizes the HDR content, especially for projectors and things like that. This unit has this, and it makes a huge difference. My personal preference is this over the Dolby Vision, but I think that has a lot to do with most of the content that I'm going to consume is going to be on a projector. It's not going to be on a OLED or anything like that. If the tables were turned, I might, you know, feel a little bit different about that. But I think that it's fair to say that because so many of the comparisons that I've watched or read about seem to talk about that. But again, we're going to focus strictly on picture quality with my thoughts and comments. So when we compare all of the players that are available on the market today, I think Panasonic stands out on their own. I think if you're going to purchase a Ultra HD Blu-ray player, Panasonic is the only brand to really take a serious look at this point in time. And with that being said, when Oppo stepped out of the market and decided to go into a different direction, I took a step back and was like, okay, what's going to replace this? What is a new product that I'll be able to get behind and support and feel like I'm getting a best value as a consumer? So what I ended up doing was selling both of the Oppo 203s that I had, and I picked up the Panasonic UB9000 because at that time it was the best player on the market, and from a review standpoint that existed that would meet the needs that I was looking for, mainly around a projector to have the ability to clean up some of the HDR and everything that was going on. So at the time, you know, I purchased it and felt like it was the best value, and I felt like it was a replacement in kind for the Oppo 203. I know that at the time Panasonic sold the 820 as well when I got ready to upgrade, which is a great player. But it just, I did not, when I was getting ready to put money towards it, it felt $500 US for something that felt just lightweight did not make a lot of sense for me personally. So what I decided to do was opt for the other version, and with some sales that I had done on eBay of my Oppo units, I was able to go ahead and pick one up without it really feeling like, hey, this is $1,000 unit. Now, let's fast forward to what the products that are available today and what I'm looking for. And when you're using bitstream output and you're letting your processor do a lot of your audio decoding work and things like that, if the UB420 would have been on the market at that time, with the fact that it has the same image processor and capabilities, and the fact that the unit looks fantastic, as I showed you in the pictures, $250, even though I picked it up for $150, $250 for that unit is a fantastic deal. And I think it would have been very, very hard for me to justify the price difference that I paid for the UB9000. Now, if you're going to take, and I'm just talking about video quality alone. Now, if you take the audio side of it, hands down, there are consumers that are going to want that for the dedicated power supply, for your soundboards, and things like that. So it has its place as well. And then the other thing is because I really enjoy the hobby, I'm not going to put something in with my other equipment that just looks terrible. And a lot of the other players on the market in the lower price points just did not meet the standards from a cosmetic standpoint that I was looking for. I know that everyone's not going to care so much about the cosmetics of their, well, what does that player look like? But I think that there is a customer base out there that's very, very important to. So they're going to be the ones that something like the UB420, it's going to meet the video capabilities that they're looking for. The fact that it has dual or twin HDMI outputs was just phenomenal. When you think about the cost, 5 years ago, what you would pay for a product that had that same capability. So that was something that really stood out to me as well. And I was really excited about that. So I went ahead and I picked up a second one. At $150, I picked up a second one for a spare. And said, I'm going to have that as a backup unit. But before I posted comments on the channel, and I've kind of taken a step back from the channel for a while because I just do this for fun. I get nothing outside of just having fun doing it. I wanted to watch a few UltraHD 4K disc and get an idea of how I felt about the player, because I've watched several discs on the UB9000, and so there's no doubt in my mind how I feel about that unit. So I took and I watched four movies, and I made sure that they weren't the 2K and digital intermediates, but it was a true example. And I was just blown away at the picture quality and the price point. And again, comparing it straight to the UB9000, Panasonic has something for everyone. Now, if you're not looking for, if you don't have a OLED with Dolby Vision that you're wanting to make sure that you're taking advantage of, this player is going to meet, I would say, of at least the people that I talk to in regards to this hobby, probably 60%, if not higher, of the market share of people that are looking for this type of a player. And then their 820 is probably going to pick up most of the rest of that market, with their UB9000, just maybe a 10% that has to have that high end, the best of the best quality. But no one is going to sacrifice picture quality comparative of the display that they're using with these players, which is really, really neat. It doesn't matter your price point. It doesn't matter really where you're at. You're going to get a fantastic product, fantastic experience. The dedication that they put into the industrial design, it's great. It's great. And had this player been available on the market when I bought my other one, to where I could have picked one up and put it into my system, I don't know that I would have bought the other one. Part of me says that I might have, because of the situation where I was replacing players with funds from eBay sales. But if it wasn't for that, I mean, I would have been so happy with this. Now, with that being said, what's going to happen with projector technology? Because like I've already said in previous videos and even in this video, HDR10, and then the projector, outside of that, you know, having that optimizer, it's going to meet my need. And there's going to be a high percentage of you guys that it's going to meet your needs as well. So I would say at the end of the day, the UB9000 is not worth an $800 price premium for the majority of consumers out there that are in the market for a 4K Ultra HD player. Just not. I would say some people are going to say, hey, I got to go with the middle of the road product. So, hey, the 820 is available for you. Go pick it up. The 420, in my opinion, I would say that, you know, if I owned a brick and mortar store, that's probably one of the only 2 units that I would stock, because there just really isn't a reason to. The Samsung players that I've had and the Sony players that I've had, I'm not impressed at all with the build quality, the picture quality. Panasonic, even though in North America, I think Canada, you can still get their TVs in Canada, I believe. But they kind of exited that market. I think it was 2016 maybe. But they are going to dominate and own the player market as long as it exists. Now there's debates on, you know, how long will physical media be around. Personally, I think that, you know, in my lifetime, there will always be physical media. And I think that the cost of it will continuously increase. And I think that the availability of it, as far as ease of access, like I do think that there will be a time that you're not going to be able to run down to your local store and buy it. It's going to be online purchases alone. But I do think that you will have that availability. And then you may see another generation that comes back and just, you might see, you know, like kind of like what we've seen with the record industry with, you know, a revival of physical media taking place, and that may happen as well, which would be neat to see, young people, you know, like my kids' age possibly out there trying to get a hold of some of those older releases. And I've purchased a lot of physical media over the past couple of years, anticipating the collapse, if you will, of the ease of availability. Because there are movies that you can't get on Netflix, you can't get them on Disney Plus, you can't get them on a streaming service, and you can't buy physical copies even of some of the ones that are out of print. So the player market, I think, if you enjoy watching movies, $150 to $180 for the 420, hands down. Save up some money and get one. And even if you don't open the box and you just wait until it's time to watch that movie, it's definitely worth having it. I'll tell you what, there's a part of me that wants to, you know, at a $150 price point, pick a couple spares up and just put up, because it's the build quality is that good for the price point. I need to make that clear. For the price point, the build quality is fantastic, and for the price point, the industrial design is spot on. So I think a lot of people will be happy with this. I know that one of the designs, and I know Samsung has exited the market, but the curved design that they had that came out around the time that they were selling a lot of the curved TVs and things like that. I never was a fan of that personally. I didn't care for that design. And I was really hoping that Samsung would step up to the plate and give us something, especially when Oppo was getting out of the market. And they didn't step up and do anything. So this player is that, in my opinion, at that price point, this is that entry-level player that has the bells and whistles of your more expensive players. So you don't have to feel like you settled. That's the big thing here. This player, the 420, you're not settling on a player. It's not like, I don't have an extra $200 to get the other player, so I guess I'll just get the... No, you are not settling in any way, shape, or form. You are getting a wonderful experience with this player, which is so cool. And I'm a huge fan of Panasonic. Years and years and years ago, I had 20 years ago, I had a lot of their products. And I mean, even speakers. I remember one of my first surround sound systems was a Panasonic speaker system. So I am a fan of their products, to be fair, but they've put together something that is great. And go pick one up if you don't have one.